The most powerful moment in House of the Dragon Episode 3. With Episode 3 of the show recently being released, it showed us the conflict that's brewing internally within House Targaryen inside and outside of King's Landing. And also the threat of the Crabfeeder now being neutralized following the Battle of the Stepstones. With the divide being present and the rising tension from the council and the public putting pressure on King Viserys, there were multiple moments in this episode that were worthy of taking the top spot. So I thought I'd share what I thought the most powerful moment in episode 3 of the show was. So let's get into it. Here is the most powerful moment in House of the Dragon episode 3. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. There were many moments in this episode that supported the development of the plot and the rising separation and betrayal that feels is inevitably on the cards in the show. But along with that, there were moments that stood out for multiple different reasons, but more specifically due to the weight that they carried. I've selected two moments that were close and one that I felt was the most powerful. One moment that came close to taking the title of being the most powerful was when we saw the Crabfeeder inflicting pain on an individual in the opening sequence. We saw the battle that was taking place at the Stepstones, and the sheer amount of devastation that it was causing, with the amount of flames that were present. In the darkness, we saw a close-up shot of the Crabfeeder's face appearing, with the orange hue and glow of the flames emitting upon the individual. He's a haunting character to look at in the darkness of the night, due to the evil look, the grayscale, the mask that he wears, the mist over one of his eyes, and the thin wilted hair that was upon him. We saw him nail the individual into a plank of wood and release some of his crabs upon him, which meant that he was going to be consumed alive by these crabs, as they took bite by bite out of him, showing the torturous nature and methods that Drahar used. Something else that I thought spoke a lot in this scene was when we saw Drahar retreat when it looked as though the battle was getting difficult, something which would later tie into what happened at the end of the episode. It led me to believe that he wasn't necessarily the best of swordsmen, hence why he retreated at that moment and also at the end, showing that he likely preys on the individuals that are already wounded before inflicting the pain upon them, realistically showing the lack of strength that he held. It was a moment that I feel showed the more fearful nature of the Crabfeeder, and the evil nature that he had, rather than the fact that he was the strongest of them all. Another moment that came close to taking the top spot occurred halfway through the episode, where we saw that King Viserys had to kill the stag that was in front of him, and Rhaenyra had to kill the boar that was attacking her. However, what I thought was particularly interesting about these two scenes was that the killings were done in two completely different ways. We'd just come off the back of witnessing a public display of disagreement between Rhaenyra and King Viserys, about Rhaenyra not wanting to marry and her not being above duty or tradition of her role. The hounding pressure from Otto Hightower, the council, and the people of Westeros to change his heir from Rhaenyra to Aegon is something that's ever so present, and has been consuming his mind. And the fear of him doing that is something that's been on Rhaenyra's mind, and was something that was contributing to the rift between herself and her father. After the disagreement that we saw, we witnessed Rhaenyra ride off, and we saw Viserys go off to take on the stag that they'd captured. The original intention was for them to find a white stag, as it would have acted as a sign from the gods that Aegon should be named next in line to the throne. However, they didn't find it, and instead had a regular one that was large in size. In front of everybody, whilst the beast was being restrained, we saw the king damage it but not kill it in one go, showing that his mind was being weakened by all that was occurring, and it was taking its toll on him. Even when restrained, he needed advice from somebody on where to stick it. However, on the other hand, we saw Rhaenyra being attacked by a wild boar, which led her to brutally attack it, letting out all of her emotions, passion, and anger on it, taking it down in the most brutal and bloodiest of ways without it being restrained, showing that the conflict between herself and her father is having the opposite effect on her, and showcasing the strength that she has within her. After this, we saw the white stag approach Rhaenyra, look at her, and then gallop away, symbolizing that she's the rightful heir to the throne. The king's men spent the entirety of the day looking for the white stag for the king to kill, but instead it found Rhaenyra, and she spared it, something that I thought spoke 1,000 words about the type of individual that she is. It was a moment that showed the difference between the people and Rhaenyra, and the strength that she holds and the stake to the throne that she has, even if other people question her ability. However, the moment that I thought was the most powerful moment in the entirety of the episode was the moment that we saw Daemon reign supreme over the Crabfeeder, and it was this specific moment for a variety of different reasons. It all started at the point where he was given the note by King Viserys' messenger, We saw that King Viserys was prepared to assist in the aid of the battle in supporting Daemon. However, we saw that it seemed as though it offended him more than him viewing it as an act of kindness and support. This led him to mercilessly beat the messenger, showing the insult that he felt that it was. This spurred him on to feeling as though he wanted to take on the fight himself, and we witnessed a scene that was incredible to watch, showcasing Daemon's fighting abilities and the skillful swordsman that he was, taking on everybody in his path and defeating them. With the Crabfeeder sending out more and more men, it showed just how unstoppable Daemon was. However, it was an arrow from an archer that proved to slow him down and make him lose the upper hand. This was until we saw Rhaenyra Velaryon riding in on a dragon and unleashing the fire upon everybody, mirroring what we saw in the opening scene, which this time meant that it allowed Daemon to approach the Crabfeeder and duel him one-on-one. Whilst we didn't get to see the battle, we saw that he was victorious in his battle, as he dragged a half-cut Crabfeeder out in front of his men, showing the brutality of the fight. This to me showed the yearning to prove to his brother just how strong he actually is, and that he doesn't need his help. Daemon has forever lived in his brother's shadow, and he's tired of it, hence why he probably cut him in half, because there was so much passion and emotion in the fight, and the winning of it came with an immense meaning. We're led to believe that the Crabfeeder has grayscale, so with Daemon being covered in his blood and also not wearing a glove when holding him, it could prove to show a damaging future for Daemon, meaning his passion and hunger could well have got the better of him. It was a powerful moment that gave Matt Smith the stage to shine on as the character Daemon, and it paved the way for the King of the Narrow Sea to be born and the arrogant nature of the character to be developed even further, as he looks to return to King's Landing in the next episode. There are so many moments in this show that have the potential to take the top spot every week. As I've done so far in this series, I'll be continuing to do a most powerful moment video for every episode that occurs in the series. So, there you have it, the most powerful moment in House of the Dragon Episode 3. If you want to see more videos on House of the Dragon, such as endings explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you want to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @BrainPilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What was your most powerful moment? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.